I've reattached the carburetor to the intake, rebuilt the little reeds in here, and I'm praying it'll all work. These are what the hubs look like if you've never seen anything like a Honda Gyro hub. And this is basically has a crankshaft that leads out to this hub that drives the driven wheel. This one over here is just on a, there's just a bolt on it. So what I'm going to do is I've taken off this wheel, the driven wheel, because of the tread is pretty well, it's got a lot of miles on it. I really like the, see, it's got the little Honda emblem that I redid. It has the same exact stickers that it came with, and it kind of gives it a real realism. And these were the only type of tires that would work. The Honda Gyro tires have got to be in 3 dimensions: 6 inches by 6.5 by 5 inches or something like that. These are the original tires right here. I'm not going to break them down, but these are the original Dunlops. The neat thing about them is that even though they were made in Japan, there is no Japanese writing on them. They're all in English. But you can't buy these tires anywhere anymore. I guess what the Japanese do, or have done, is they modify their gyros and they put bigger wheels and tires on them. They make them look really cool. But me, I want to go retro, just stock. So I had to make these special tires I found able to fit underneath the stock. They call it a, what do they call this? This is a stock fender. They call it a rear fender. So in order to see if the bike works, after I change the tires, I've got to put it all back together. Then I have to put on the muffler and start it up and see if it works. Hopefully it'll work okay. And then I see I've put in my little, this is actually a can fuel filter. I don't know where I got it, but it's great. And any fuel that comes off that tank and any crap that's in it is going to go get caught right here. Then I cleaned up the little cylinder head. I noticed that my 2 bolts going into the carburetor weren't as tight as they should be. They were tight, but they were, you know how that they're not really loose, but you're like, man, that needs to be tighter. So you can see the little starter down in there, just like the regular Hondas. And the neat thing about the bikes is that they're unique. They were only sold for 2 years. They might have been sold for 3 years. The first model was 1984, which looks different than this. And it's a really cool bike, but they're really rare and they're expensive. They're not as, I think these are better. These were sold in 1985 and 1986 in America. They did not catch on. Nobody wanted them. That's the neat thing about them, is that I can drive down the road right now downtown with my little black helmet on, which I have up here, and my little black racing shirt, and people just love looking at it. I don't know if any of you are from the 1980s, back in like 1984, but all the headlights on the cruiser bikes were like this, square like that. What I managed to do is get a couple of extra headlights. This is one thing I'm trying to find real badly. These are new lights, but this bar right here is something that I've been trying to find. They get easily bent because when you run into something, you bend them right here. They are a pain in the ass to get straight. So I've been trying to find a new bar. One, I don't care if it's 40 years old, but that has not been bent. And I haven't been able to do that. So as soon as I get the gyro ready for my weekend going out driving therapy, then I'll get right back on the deal. All the parts are here for the deal. All the carburetors, all the NCI stuff, all the new wheels, everything. And I'll have to tear it apart, do some replumbing. But for right now, I want to get my little gyro up and running. And what I would suggest to anyone is don't use any VP race fuel in your bike unless you know that it's not going to corrode your fuel lines or your plastic reeds, which I don't know. I know nitromethanol, methanol, which is an alcohol. If you use that in your car, you have to have special fuel lines, special this and special that, or to eat through it. And it just doesn't do any good to spend all this time rebuilding things. Even though I love doing it, I love working on these little things. I'm just praying that nothing is broken where I have to replace it, because there is no spare parts. They're just non-existent. I'd have to go out and buy another gyro, find one, and, well, that's another story. But I'm going to swap the wheels and put it back together. So for all of you that like my little Honda Dio and the big motor, this is my other little love. Alright. DIOSpeedDEMON signing off. Rock on.